All right, let's look at some of the things we talked about in class today. Remember, we have been working on finding the volumes of cones, cylinders, and spheres. Well, today we're going to look at a problem where we have to actually do a problem in reverse to find either the height or the radius. So let's look at this first one. This cylinder, if we look at our cylinder here, we know we have a radius of 3 and we know the volume. Well, first off, what I want to do before I start anything, I want to come over here and make sure I have my formula. So remember, the formula for the volume of a cylinder is volume equals pi times the radius squared times the height. Well, remember, we want to talk about what we know for a fact. Well, we know for a fact that the volume of this cylinder, it will hold 254.47 cubic centimeters of water. Okay, that's one given. The other given is the 3 centimeters on the radius. So we know the volume and we know the radius. Okay, so we can use that to plug it back in and we can work it backwards to find the actual height of our cylinder. So what we do, remember, just talk about this today. We talked about working and just substituting in what we have. So we know the volume, so we will take the volume out and substitute it with 254, excuse me, 0.47 equals pi. Now we know the radius, so the radius is going to be 3 centimeters square. What we don't know is the height. Okay, so we can do a little simplifying here. So we can go 254.47 is equal to, now when I multiply 3 times 3, remember that's what 3 squared means. 3 squared is 3 is 9 times pi. So we have 9 pi times h. Well, remember, we're solving for h, which means I want to get rid of everything that's not circled. So I'm going to circle that and I'm going to divide by 9 pi. Okay, so let's take our calculator and we'll pull it up real quick if I can get it to come up. Okay, let's bring it over here out of the way. Okay, so what we have is 254.47 divided by, now in our this calculator I have to put it in parentheses, 9 times pi, close the parentheses, gives me 9 even. So remember, this is going to cancel, so I have the height of this cylinder is 9 inches. Okay, so the cylinder that holds 254.47 cubic centimeters of water has a radius of 3, will have a height of 9 inches. Remember, all we did was take these numbers. We just took them and substituted them in. Okay, let's look at the next one. Okay, this cylinder shown has a volume of 785.4 cubic inches. If the diameter of the cylinder is 10, let's find the height. Again, we're going to work this one backwards, but let's take what we are given. We are given the volume, 785.40. We are given the diameter is 10. We don't know the height and we don't know the radius. Okay, remember, we don't use diameter in our formula, so remember, to find the radius, we take the diameter and divide it by 2. So if the diameter is 10, that means the radius is going to be 5. Okay, so let's plug it in. Let's write our formula. Volume equals pi, radius square, height. All right, and let's start substituting. Well, here's my volume. My volume is 785.40. Plug in the pi. We do know our radius, so 5 square times h. All right. So if we go up, let's finish it out so we can simplify the next line. 5 square means 5 times 5, so 25 pi h. Okay, remember, we're solving for the height, so I like to circle that h, and whatever's not circled is what I'm going to divide by. So 25 pi, both sides of the equation. And then what happens here is this 25 cancels this 25, this pi cancels this pi, and all I'm left on the right side is h. Well, here we are with our division problem again. Let's pull our calculator back up. Okay, let's move it over here this time. Let's try to get it over here. Oh, they won't let that go. Okay, so what I have now is 785.40 divided by 25 times pi. Now remember, on our calculators in class, we don't have to put in the times pi. We just put in 25 pi. Well, if I hit enter, then I come up with 10. Okay, so the height of this cylinder is going to be 10. All right. So as you can see, we can work back and forth. We can go multiple ways with this, but we're looking for the height on this one. And in this case, the height of this one is going to be 10 inches from top to bottom. Okay? How does it go? All right, let's try this one. I'm going to give you one this time. Let's see what we got. This next one, my volume now, look up here, is in terms of pi. So we're going to leave it a little bit different, but we're going to do it the same way. So what I'm given the volume is 160 pi. I'm given the height is 10. What I want to know is, what is the radius? Okay, so the same steps. Let's plug it in. Volume equals pi radius square times height. We can take the volume out because we know the volume. All we're going to do is substitute. 160 pi equals pi 10. Oh, excuse me. We don't know the radius. So, well, we got a little different problem here. So let's make sure we can figure out here. We have to add in the 10 for the h. All right. So if I circle what I know I'm looking for, just like we did in the previous steps, if we get rid of what we don't have circled, we can divide both sides by 10 pi or pi 10. Remember, these two mean the same thing. This pi cancels this pi. This 10 cancels this 10. I'm left with r squared equals 160 pi divided by 10 pi. Okay, let's pull our calculator back up. 160 times the pi button divided by 10 times the pi button gives me 16. Okay, so remember, but this is the radius square. What I'm looking for is the radius. So remember, the last step for these type problems is we have to take the square root. The square root of r squared is r, because remember, the radical sign will cancel out the square. Okay, and then the square root of 16 is 4. So the radius of this cylinder is 4 feet. All right, let's see if you can remember what else we did. What if I asked you to find me, knowing the radius, what is the diameter? Okay, if you said 8, that's good, because remember, we talked about the radius is 1/2 of the diameter, so that means the diameter is twice as long as the radius. Okay, so now we have all of our numbers filled in, and we're looking pretty good. Let's try one more. Okay, the volume of this cylinder is 539 pi centimeters cubed and is 11 inches high. What I want to know is find the radius and the diameter of this cylinder. Well, what I'm given, here's what I'm given. I'm given the volume is 539 pi. The height is 11. I don't know radius, and I don't know the diameter. Okay, so let's fill it in and let's work it backwards. Volume equals pi radius square height. Plug in what we know. 539 pi is equal to pi. Radius I don't know, so radius square, but I do know the height. All right, here again, here's what I'm looking for. I'm trying to simplify this all the way down to get rid of to the r. Well, what's not circled is pi over 11. So what I can do is pi over 11. Well, this pi will cancel this pi. 11 cancels 11. I have r squared is equal to 539 pi divided by 11 pi or pi 11. Okay, so let's see how this works out. So hold on just 1 second. So we have to put it in parentheses. 539 times pi divided by 11 times pi gives me 49. Okay, all right, so now remember, this is r squared. What we're trying to get to is just the radius. So the last step, we have to take the square root of both sides, and remember, this cancels this. I'm left with r is equal to the square root of 49 is 7. All right, so As you can see, it's just simply working it backwards, just like we did. We've been doing all of last week, and we'll continue working on tomorrow. We'll actually look at some finding the height and the radius of a cone. Have a good evening.